Hello everyone, hope you all are doing good. So I'm gonna be illustrating Yanqing from Honkai Star Rail. As you can see here, I'm gonna start with 3 poses that I've got in my head. All 3 are quite similar, as you would see in a moment. I'm trying to go for something simple, but not too simple. So as you can see, the only thing that changes for the second pose is just the hand and the legs. But ultimately, I'm gonna go for the third pose that I'm about to illustrate right now. It's gonna show more of the body, which has some interesting details that I want to put in there. And also I like the hand sign. I believe it's some kind of a martial art. And throughout this illustration, you're gonna notice that I have quite trouble drawing the hands. That's one of my challenge. So I put more details on this one because I've already decided that this is the one I'm gonna be going for. I just need to do the head a little bit more. So facing the camera, not looking away, or rather facing whoever is looking at the illustration. And also I wanted as you can see from the first and the second, they are holding his sword. So I wanted the third one to also hold the weapon. I just needed to find a good position for it. And again, yeah, the hand always gives me trouble. Now it's kind of too small for the full illustration. Yep, I'm gonna make that a little larger. And I just hide those other 2. And now this one is the main focus. So my process this time, I'm gonna try some new things for this particular one. Of course I did the rough, this is like a very rough sketch. So I'm gonna attempt to put in a rough line work. The head was pretty straightforward, didn't give me a lot of trouble. But then when I wanted to start the lower body, I realized that I need more detail for the body, so it's easier to put the finer rough line work. You'll see that in a moment. So yeah, just a brief about the art. I entered like a competition which is currently ongoing, and I mean, I don't know if I would get any prize or whatever, but also it's a way for me to improve my art. So I chose this character for this competition for the Honkai Star. It's hosted by the Honkai Star Rail game company, I would say. Yeah, also the hair. Another thing that I have a lot of problem drawing is hair and hands. It's incredibly difficult for me. So I'm trying to get the roundish shape of the head, but I'm realizing it's not looking that way, so I'm trying to get that roundish head. Make sure I don't lose it. So now I start doing the lower body, but then I realize, oh shoot, I can't. It's gonna be too difficult. I'm gonna be too focused on the details and then miss the final line that I'm trying to get. So I decide to, go back to my previous layer and just make it as detailed as I can, with very very rough lines, just so I can get the final details. So then I can come back and then just focus on I call it the semi rough line work. Of course, I'm gonna do even the final line work after this particular line work that I'm doing. So there are gonna be two line works. This particular one that I'm doing the very very rough details, then another one on top of this one, then last even more final line work on top of this, the second one. So three, I'm gonna draw over this particular sketch 3 times. That's because I like good line work. I've been working to make my line work as clean and as smooth as possible, ever since I started digital art. Oh, and something to note, I'm not sketching all these details from my head. I mean, at least that's impossible for me right now. I'm using many references, referencing many images, and using those to get the the sketch details and stuff. So you can see the legs was looking a little weird, so I had to start from the bottom up, and that seemed to give me a better understanding of the pose. So now with that, with enough details to my liking, I decided to start the line work, but I needed to first adjust the hand a little bit. It felt a little weird. And then I start the initial semi-rough line work. And as you can see, I started to add additional details that I thought wasn't necessary in the first line work, but for this line work I'll add some more details to the previous line work. Then when I'm doing the final line work, I will add even more details, just tiny little details that I didn't think were are necessary with the initial line works. So I love line works, like very good line work, love them. There's an artist that I really enjoy looking at his or her work. I'm not sure, I don't remember the artist's name, but beautiful line work. So I can see because of the previous detail that I added, this initial line work is much easier to do, so I'm just more focused on my lines. So the more detail I can put in each line work, the easier it becomes with subsequent line works. For me, as long as I can just focus on just a line, then my line work seems to come out much better than if I'm trying to think of the detail and then try to you do a line work on top of thinking of the detail. It just doesn't work for me. So what works is that I just focus on the rough, even if it's the rough line work. I put as much details as I can, as my stamina determines, and then the subsequent line works will be easier for me. So I'm just focused on those lines, just zooming in as much as I can and just laser focus on those line works. So here you can see I'm kind of doing the belt. Yanqing's belt is it's very unique. It's a bird, as you can see. So I try to be as accurate as I can with the angle. It's at an angle, so it's not facing the front, it's just slightly turned. So I'm trying to get that angle because it's important for the pose. Again, with line works, you have to be careful with the width of the line. I tend to make the outer line thicker, and then the inner lines I do lighter strokes. I just like the aesthetics, the look of that kind of line work. It also kind of makes the art pop off of the page. I mean, I see it that way. looking good, almost complete. I kind of like his boots. I put a little more details. There's a lot more design that go on there, but we'll get back to that later. Put more detail on his sword, again with the bird. I guess he has a theme for birds. So as you can see, this particular sketch, 2 line works, rough and even finer rough on top of the previous rough. So unfortunately, I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. And then I did the background, what I was looking into. You're gonna see much later, maybe in a different video, how I did the little reflection on the waters. I thought it came out pretty cool. So just again working on the background of this character. Again, my thinking is to keep it as simple as what is the word for it? Minimalistic as possible, but I feel it was a little cluttered at some point, but I just continued working with what I got. I thought a lot about the background, because again, another thing that I have some difficulty doing is background for characters that complement the character and still looks good and not too rushed. They have details, interesting detail, and I even thought about just leaving the background plain, but I thought this would be more interesting. And I feel it came out okay, but I don't know, it didn't look as what I say, it didn't look as simplistic as I wanted. It looks like, see, there's a lot of stuff on there, but I'm gonna blur out the swords around him to make sure that he's the focus of this illustration. And that's pretty much it. I'll finish the rest in part 2. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm gonna see you all in the next video, which is just gonna be the final line work. Then there's gonna be another video that's gonna be just coloring. These videos are pretty long. I didn't want to time lapse it too much, if not you'll miss the details of the art, so I divided them into 3 videos. Hope you like them. Thank you.